Cancer, hello. This is your 2021 reading, and I'm quite excited to be doing it. I got a deck of cards especially to do it, spellcasting oracle cards. And so we're going to sort of look at what is coming towards you for 2021. 2020 has been a very challenging year, I think, for everybody, for the whole world. So we're going to look at what is the energy that you want to focus on as you go into 2021. Now, with tarot readings, obviously it's a general reading, and it won't always resonate with you. But also on that point, when you do a reading for someone, you kind of focus on where they currently are, how they got to where they are, and where this energy is taking them. So sometimes you may find that a reading doesn't initially resonate with you when you look at it right now, but then 2-3 weeks or a month down the line you go like, oh, okay, there we go. Sometimes it's a lot faster than it, sometimes it can be later in the day. So I would encourage you to look at the whole reading from beginning to end. I'm ending off with an oracle card for you, as well as a message from the universe, and you can obviously also go and have a look at the link in the description that says free natal chart, because there you get to really see your placements, and if you feel the need to, you can look at a different reading for where your other things are in your chart. Also in the description there's a link for AC Digital Marketing Solutions, which is my amazingly beautiful friend that does my graphic design. And I mean, if you look at the thumbnail that I have at the moment, I saw it, my heart just went like a okay. So we're going to start up and see what is the energy that you want to focus on going forward, into 2021. And we're sort of going to look as you go sort of like into the year. So focusing on that energy, the first three to maybe 4 months, what is the overall general energy there for you? So look, for all of you, that 2020 has been such a beautiful year for me in so many aspects, and I would like to thank you so much for your beautiful, incredible support, for your love. It means so much to me. And if it's the first time to my channel, I'd like to welcome you. My name is Adrian. I'm an intuitive healer. I practice holistic wellness. I'm also a spiritual regression hypnosis practitioner. I also do crystal healing, and I'm busy putting together an absolutely beautiful course. 32 lessons, and the first 8 lessons are free. As soon as it's up and running, I will in future videos put you a link on there. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, you're more than welcome to also subscribe. Now I'm going to show you what I have for you in oracle cards. The one says confidence and the other one says psychic abilities. So Cancer, this is you moving forward, and this makes perfect sense, moving forward into 2021, into the future, into life. And it's like that new surge of knowing that is taking place. And what is really happening over here now, a lot of times, when we do readings, like somebody maybe want to do like a love reading, finance, career, health, whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, all readings really always come back to you, because it's about your personal energy and your energy interaction, your personal interaction, with sort of like the energetic matrix. That is what determines everything for you in life. It doesn't really matter what it is. And yes, a growing, I feel that for many of you as you go forward, and it's such an amazing thing, it feels like you are stepping into that space where you're beginning to get a sense of belonging. Because if there's one thing that Cancerians, typical Cancerian energy, whether you Cancerian sun, like your zodiac sign is Cancer, or Cancer moon, emotions, Cancer communication, it doesn't really matter where it lies in your chart. There can sometimes be from the broader understanding of all emotions, a typical sign of Cancer is a lot of times that you struggle to sort of like acclimatize to the world. You feel a little bit like the slightly like the oddball out. And the energy of Cancer is a very loving energy, like obviously they can be quite wild as well. I always see people, and I smile because I'm Cancerian as well, and I always smile when people speak about Cancer. They speak about this beautiful, gentle, loving, kind energy, which is true. But Cancer can also be like a tsunami. But the wonderful thing that's happening over here, the reason why many of you might have feel displaced initially and from great parts of your life, is because the energy that you naturally have wasn't 100% sort of like in alignment with the energy that the world, mostly has. And with everything that's been happening, we're very much busy moving from that sort of like 3D kind of space, being sort of in 4D, overcoming those. I did a reading for that I think about 2 months ago. And moving into this higher elevated, global consciousness. And it's as everybody's awakening, you also sort of rising up more and more and more, but it's almost like rising up towards a beautiful part of yourself that you always knew was there. You just weren't always sure, if you'd be able to reach it in this life. So it felt a little bit like reaching for, for a pie in the sky sometimes. Whereas what's happening at the moment, that sort of global connection that you always knew that you had, that everybody being one, as humans having the individual experience of life, but also, knowing that we're all one. The world is moving into that more, and it's like you are moving into a beautiful sort of dream almost that you always dreamed, but never really thought might actually become possible. So that in fact is actually quite nice. You're seeing humanity awakening, and it's like as humanity awakens, you begin to experience sort of more of yourself. All right, let's see what we're going to use for you in tarot. So we're going to use the OSHO deck, which is such a beautiful deck. It's one of those beautiful gifts that was actually a gift to me from one of my subscribers. So I'm very, very grateful for that. And it literally got delivered to my door. It's such an amazing thing. Okay, so I'm really, really sorry. I think I'm getting a little bit of a cold. I'm taking my natural herbal remedies, and they're really, really helping. So the wonderful thing that I see happening is that it's for many of you, obviously with Cancer also loving their home space so much, typically loving their home space so much, or just a sort of safe haven where you can feel safe. Like when you say your home space, it doesn't always have to be your actual physical home, maybe you really love your job, or your car, or there's a spot in nature where you'd normally go to, and, to sort of like get in touch and get in feel. And so this speaks about probably during this year, more than before, so many of you had to really dig in very, very deeply to find that beautiful space inside, to find that sort of, that zen of peace. It took a lot of strength, more strength than most people would have realized probably, for you to be able to make it through certain situations, because the world felt very oppressed this last couple of months. Things were really, really challenging, and it brought you to like there's like a general sense of exhaustion where you are at the moment. So it's almost like sometimes we still have hope, and we still want to have hope for the future and hope for life and all those type of things, but it feels very, very heavy, and it's almost like at one of those points, it almost feels like breaking point, really. Okay, and this obviously affects all areas of life, and but also there's a breakthrough taking place. Sometimes when we're at this point of complete exhaustion where we feel that we can't really do things anymore, what we also by default begin to realize is what we'd actually like to have in order to feel, life in a more sort of elevated level. So there's a beautiful sense of spiritual awakening that's taking place. And what's happening is, I feel for many of you, that you may have been so much on the path of, spirituality and awakening and ascension, and this doesn't mean that you have to be like an avid, like a meditator or anything like that, but you've been focused on finding a lighter side of life, a more positive side of life. Hello. Where are you? Cat. So you've been focused on finding that more that sense of place almost. And I feel that for many of you, you would have really focused on your practices, your mantras, your chants, those type of things. And those things are beautiful because they bring you very much into alignment with yourself, which is absolutely, absolutely incredible. But I feel that for some of you, even the practical, the sort of spiritual practice. When I say spiritual practice, I'm talking about the life practices, the things that you do to make yourself feel better. So that could be like a long walk, or maybe you just have yourself a cup of coffee. You maybe grow some plants, whatever it really is. Sort of like adapt a new positive attitude towards your job, your life, your family. Maybe you have to start something new. And where you? What's going on? Then you're gonna have to stay outside, okay? It's either in or out, bro. Crazy cat. But our pets make our life so beautiful. So and they teach us so much actually about life and about love, and about understanding. And so I feel that some of you got so tired of doing the right thing, making the right choice, saying the right chant, the right mantra, the right prayer. It got so exhausting. All right. And it's when we get to this point, it's actually quite powerful because, a lot of the practices that we do, reaching towards a higher, more beautiful place. These are beautiful, wonderful, ancient practices. And in many ways, the world is very much the same. But, we've also been thrown a very big curveball over here. And so many of you would have realized that it's time for change. And I feel that you went into a more gentle space. Instead of doing what you know, following the books, following this guru, following this master, following this teacher, it's like you turn back to your heart, you turn back to your soul, you turn back inside, and started to feel what is the message of truth that your heart really has to say for you, because maybe that message has been a little bit, altered in a sense. Still beautiful, still divine, but, things have changed a little bit. A lot of these practices have been practiced for thousands of years, and as beautiful as you can still, get benefit from a practice that's maybe like 5,000 years old, this was said 5,000 years ago. All right, quite a lot of water has flown, through the river towards the ocean meanwhile. And I feel that for many of you, you're going to that space where you just flow with the energy. And it's interesting, I had a conversation with somebody where I'm creating this crystal healing course. I had a conversation with somebody who wanted to know sort of psychic ability, what it really is, And the thing about psychic ability is that we all have it. There's not just a select few people who's got this gift of being psychic, and some people don't. We all have it. It's a natural part of us. The same way that these 5 fingers are part of me, it's part of you. It's part of who you are. Some people's born with a stronger connection, and some people's connection is not that strong, but it can be developed. It's the same as some people are born very athletic, and some people have to work a little bit harder. But everybody can sort of run a marathon, support a marathon, be whatever. One way or the other, you can contribute. And I always explain this as understanding your part within the talent. So with psychic ability, for example, because this is where you are going. A lot of times we think, first of all, when you speak about psychic ability, you always have a choice. It's not like those movies where things kind of come around you. When you start practicing, keeping your aura balanced, maybe working with crystals, working with life, working with energy, grounding. It's very, very important for you. Especially when it comes to protecting our aura, which is something that I always teach in all my classes because it's very, very important. You get to decide what you let into your life and what you don't let into your life. And as your energy expands, you want to be responsible for that. So if you're not yet practicing, anything like that, anything that is, about energy management, that is something that I would very strongly suggest for you. But I also feel that what's happening with you is what I explained to this, this beautiful friend of mine, is that when you start to flow with energy, and psychic ability, really, it's when you have that gut feeling and you just follow it. But life sort of just works out for you. The right thing happens at the right time. You don't have to think about it so much. You don't have to manifest so much. It just sort of happens. And that is where you're heading. A much more easy flow with the universal energy. let's see what we're going to use for you for clarifiers. Oh, we're going to clarify using the same deck, so that's quite interesting. So let's clarify this overall. In fact, let's clarify where you came from. So let's clarify that past, you know, this 2019, 2020, you know, sort of period, what brought you to where you are. And also, you know, what I'd like to encourage you to do is, with life, we can be very focused sometimes with where we currently are. But take a nice breath. And, you know, for a moment, allow yourself to become silent and just look back at everything that you've actually gotten through, especially in the past, you know, past 2 years. It's been a very, very challenging period for many, many of us. And look at the things that you actually made it through, you know. When you think about it, especially with everything that happened in this year with the pandemic, if about a year and a half ago you had to say to somebody, listen, imagine, you know, you can't go out, you know, cities locked down, you can't fly anywhere, you can't see your family. I think we might have lost your mind, but yet you actually made it through that. And if you made it through that, I want you to really acknowledge yourself for that, because it was a crazy trip. It still is a crazy trip. Okay, so let's see. A lot of you really realize that in many ways you were disrespecting yourself, especially with life, and obviously with love being an expression, you know, with that we can really, really understand sometimes. I feel that for many of you, you're actually quite grateful for the way the things, you know, panned out, worked out, unfolded. Because for many of you, you got a lot of clarity about what it is that you actually want to have, you know. Some of you, I get a very overall sense that, you know, you'd get this beautiful space, home space, office space, workspace, you know, nature space, wherever it is that you went. And in a sense, there's like a little peaceful cocoon that you could find in the craziness of the world. But, you know, of course, that sort of shell got cracked open, and it may not have been easy, but I feel that you got a lot of clarity about what it is that what your true inspirations in life really are, you know, and in many ways how you're not following that. And of course, when you start to have that, we also start to sort of open the you know, the flow for the things that we actually want to have. So in many senses of the word, you know, some of you would have gone through periods where you would have felt horribly, horribly lonely, because there was a sense of, like, not so much even with people, but being disconnected from yourself. Okay. Let's see where this card is flying. And so where you currently are, you know, there's a lot of introspection taking place. There's a lot of sort of, you know, looking in the mirror and seeing that true reflection back to yourself. Seeing where you, you know, sort of missed out in many places. And also a beautiful thing that I was speaking of, I was speaking to my friend yesterday, and she's got a, you know, beautiful, strong psychic connection, my best friend. And so I was checking out with the tarot cards, and what we were coming across was that, you know, moving forward, men have got a beautiful role in this world, but men sometimes miss the point of sort of like the strength that they are. And there's a sense almost coming across of, and I suppose with a sort of like metrosexual type of thing coming across, you know, it started to happen, that men are beginning to realize that in a broader sense, the divine feminine energy, you know, women often just know better, you know. And it's wonderful because I feel that the male energy is going to that space, and it's busy happening at the moment, so it's a little bit of a cracky space, but, you know, where you're beginning to realize how valuable and really, really wonderful, you know, you can contribute to this world when, you know, when men no longer sort of measure their own value by how much money they have, you know, and possessions, and, you know, like the build of their body and that sort of thing, you know, be gym or natural build or whatever. And it's a silent sort of strength that's coming in, and it's in a many sense I felt, you know, I feel very much it's like there's a strong surge of femininity moving forward, but in a very positive sense of the word, because it's fully supported, you know, by all spectrums. And it's where you know, where the ladies are really showing how beautiful it is when you can step forward with a divine male and a divine feminine energy that's balanced. So that is, you know, that is that beautiful gentle energy that's moving forward as we're going towards 2021. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. It says change with number 10. So, you know, it's like moving through a vortex. It's you know, sometimes when you go on a roller coaster, you feel very crazy while you're on the roller coaster. And you're like, oh my goodness, you know, this is such a trip. But as you get off it, you're like, oh, that was so fun. Let's do it again. And what's heading towards you, and even at the moment, but very early also, you know, in 2021, is that sense of, you know, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, let's do it again. There we go. You know, letting go of limiting thoughts, letting go of limiting beliefs. And when I say, you know, men and female, this is even the divine part in, you know, in you all that are ladies, you know, that sometimes you have that competitiveness that's almost unhealthy. There's a release from that. There's a reset of energy that's taking place overall, you know, globally. The things in the universe are changing, and you are very positively affected by that. And in a sense, you're becoming very powerful manifestors, you know, for what it is that you'd like to have. Many of you would have focused on quite a period of time about what it is that you don't want to have, but you really beginning to manifest what it is that you want to have. And one of the reasons why it's working so well for you and so strong for you is that unfolding, going to the next level. But you know, many of us lived many different lifetimes, and we see this isolated events, but this is beginning to flow. And I see it in my spiritual regression hypnosis sessions all the time, you know. When people's like initially when people sometimes ask me, what's the point of past life regression? But what we do, nothing is isolated. When we look at something like astrology, we really get that as well, that nothing is really isolated. You know, what you do in this life affects all other lives and affects the future, you know. And so you go into that space where you're getting that, and you're lining up with all the lessons that you learned in your previous lifetimes. Those talents are unlocking, and it's a beautiful sort of merging process that is taking place at the moment, which is really, really incredible, Cancer. So very happy that, especially for those of you that sort of like started to feel like, you know, all hope is gone, there's like a new surge of hope that's coming in here, which is actually quite wonderful. Let's see what we've got for you in an oracle card before I get you a message from the universe. And then obviously, this one, if the reading resonates with you, then you're also more than welcome to, you know, obviously subscribe to the channel. I've got regular readings coming out for you. Always welcome your comments, share if you feel guided to, and let's see what we've got for you in an oracle card. We are using the, what is this beautiful deck called? Keepers of the Light, by Kyle Gray, which is such a beautiful, beautiful deck. So what message does the Keepers of the Light have for us, for all of us, for 2021? And Krishna came out, devotion, okay? And it says, trust your spiritual guidance. There's that spiritual unlocking that we were talking about, that spiritual enlightenment. Your commitment has been recognized, the work that you've done. You are loved unconditionally. Beautiful. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. All right. Let's just end off for you with a message from the universe, beautiful Cancer. A message for Cancer, please, from the universe for the year 2021. 1, 2, 3 cards. Okay. 9 of Pentacles. This is absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I love seeing that. 10 of Wands. I really love seeing that as well. And then there's a card underneath 10 of Wands, which I wasn't aware of. 9 of Wands. And 2 of Pentacles. Game changing. All right. So total game changer here, actually. A lot of hope, a lot of hard work that you've put in, you know. I see that a lot of you've put in a lot of hard work, a lot of studying, a lot of commitment. You've really put in the hard work towards a goal that sometimes you weren't even sure if you would receive, okay, or if it would come true, but you gave yourself that chance. A lot of detachment taking place here, you know, from like emotional sort of connections before that you know, it's just not serving you in the most positive way anymore. So that could be a bit challenging sometimes, but also it's healing those inner wounds that is sometimes necessary. And as that is taking place, beautiful game changer energy, positively affecting all areas of your life as you're going forward, you know, your money, your job, career, your health, your family. So all in all, you can actually look forward to a very, very successful year. And isn't that amazing, you know? And all other things that you want in there are obviously positively affected by that. And that is that real amazing spiritual awakening that is taking place there for you. And what goes along with a beautiful growing sense of confidence expanding. So I'm quite happy to see that. And I'll see you on the next reading, which or video, whatever you decide to look up by. Have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful year. Namaste.